We are live on Facebook via the Internet Live Event Broadcasting Facebook page. And if you do hear a little bit of chopping and changing in our initial part of the commentary, because our EFX team are in the house here, just checking the level so that we can get all the echo that came through for the first rounds sorted out. So you are at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. Rob Portman is alongside me here for the motorcycles. Darren Mew will be joining us a bit later on for some single-seater action. We've got NGN Volkswagen Cup coming up right after this. And the first time we're going to see those GTIs in action and a whole bunch of new drivers coming to play. It is Sven Gruner, Graham van Breda and Peter de Vos on the front row. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. How many bikes are on this track at the moment?
There's nearly 30, mate.
I cannot believe how many Kawasaki ZX10s are out on the track now. I had to kind of blink. And I was standing here, we just opposite the main straight here and the main straight grandstand, and the atmosphere out there is now starting to boom. So hello and welcome to everyone sitting across from pit lane there on the grandstand. Great to have you along. Great to see the sun is shining.
And can they hear us over there? I hope they can. If they can, wave. Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Listen, if you've all got smart devices, get onto your smart devices, get onto Facebook and go onto the ILEB. That's Internet Live Event Broadcasting. You can watch the race on your phone and then look up and watch all the motorcycles go past, and then look back down on your phone and watch the rest of the track all the way around. How lekker would that be, hey? So if you've got smart devices or cell phones here that have got Facebook,
or just use your child's, because they
get your children to sort it out. It's much easier that way.
100%.
Just get your kids to sort it out. You'll be watching live Facebook, internet, and everything that you need to today here at Kyalami. Hello, Mrs. Besaidnote on the pit wall. You can see Mrs. Besaidnote on the pit wall. Good to see you there. How are you doing? And they're all looking concerned as the riders go around. Don't worry, they get 2 warm-up laps because that's just how ZX10s are. They're allowed 2 warm-up laps. They're very special boys.
Well, it's the premier motorcycle class of racing, and it has been for how long now?
And you got 30 bikes every time you go out. Well, of course, it has to be.
This is exactly what it is.
Numbers count, dude.
And how's that for a blast from the past?
Yes, I saw that, hey?
They've come. We've got to write it down.
Oh, no. Do these guys not realize
this? Is that Bonte?
That might be Bonte.
That's Brian Bontequin.
It is Brian Bontequin.
Coming onto the front straight.
Jag Power Products, Kawasaki, ZX10R, onto the front straight, coming through Ingwe.
Did they not tell Brian that you get 2 warm-up laps?
2 warm-up laps, Brian. 2. So he's not going to get 2. He's going to be stopped on the grid now.
He's going to get 1.5.
If he's allowed to restart and everything's okay on that motorcycle. It doesn't look like it's too much damage, because otherwise he wouldn't be standing over it going, no, just get it started, boys, I want to ride. Oh, that's
about the 100th time Brian's crashed this year alone. At Swartkops on the KTM,
he's had a tough day,
twins.
He's had a tough
crashed
time
about 10 times, and now already. But it just shows you the importance of getting heat into your tires. Yeah, that is why you get a warm-up lap.
Tires, Cole. Tires are what win races, Cole. Nice boots, eh? Gurney boots, Berwick leathers.
Yeah,
nothing shabby at all there. If you had an ARI helmet on, he'd be perfect. Hashtag, yes. Okay, so here we go. Bonte, unfortunately, looks like that might be his day done for race 1.
That bike started for some reason, and there must be some kind of problem, because those bikes are bulletproof. You crash them, you pick them up, you turn the key on and off, reset it, and start. Goes.
So I want to just take you back to a race ago. That's the second ZX10 that's blown today.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Brian.
I'm not knocking Kawasaki, please don't think that.
I don't think Brian's is blown.
No, it's not Bonte's. Bonte's got an issue there. Something's broken as it went down.
The biggest problem with modern day motorcycles, there could be that one wire, that one tiny wire somewhere that is disconnected, and that shuts down the entire bike.
Okay, so we didn't have a warm-up lap, Rob. This is actually into racing.
We are.
I always thought that ZX10's got a warm-up lap after they got their. They had a warm-up lap, then a sighting lap, and then they went racing. But clearly that's not the case, as Sven Gruner is now into his second lap of racing, and he's now completed the lap in the 1:53.1. So getting very close to his Thunderbike times as well, which is impressive. But he's got Graham van Breda all over the back of him. Then it's Peter de Vos. Peter de Vos being hounded there by Jakob Gous. Gous also under a bit of threat there from Sanjeev Singh and Teddy Brook. Those 2 riders, I say it every time, but I mean it sincerely when I talk about Sanjeev Singh. A man who 4 seasons ago was not even riding motorcycles on the road.
Yeah.
Learned how to ride a KTM 390 and is now at the front pack of ZX10R Masters Cup.
Yeah, speaking about the front pack, Graham van Breda with that big number 1 plate, he's got to the front of the pack now ahead of Sven Gruner. Sven Gruner in qualifying was around 2 seconds faster than anyone else, so Graham van Breda certainly has stepped up his pace here. There's no doubt about that. got, I won't say a lesson at Swartkorp's first time out, but certainly was not on the same kind of pace as Sven Gruner. So already down on the championship, and we know how heavy that number one plate can be, especially in this Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup. Very few times have riders been able to hold onto that number one plate for more than one season. There's Brian Bonsquin, got the bike back up and going, but certainly out of the race. But that leading group, check it out, Peter de Vos on his return, Jaco Koos, they're right in the mix there. We've got a five-way battle for the podium here.
Bonte sits up, lets them all go through. Michael Smith not too far off the back end, as you said. Teddy Brook in there as well, the Silver Surfer from Refrigeration. So nice to see that motorcycle flying high at the front end. And of course, I actually saw his young daughter here on the sideline watching Dad as well. So great to have the family out here. But it is a family day. Yeah. And if you look around the track and if you get shots of the crowd, and we do throughout the day, you're going to see that Kyalami have gone all out to ensure that the crowd are going to be happy again to come to Kyalami. There are spaces to park your cars. You can pick up the live commentary on your Facebook page and via your smart devices. You can also pick up the live commentary now via a brand new PA system that's been put in at certain parts of the track initially, but eventually they're going to have the entire circuit covered by live commentary on a PA system. So hats off to all of the effort that's been put in here. Because remember, we've got massive things happening here this year at Kyalami. We've got Bike Fest in May. We've got the Motoring Festival in August and September. Yep. We've got Comic Con coming to Kyalami, buddy. Jeez. I mean, it's a massive exposure that the world is getting via Kyalami. Cannot wait for all of those events to be here. I know you and I are going to be involved with Bike Fest. I'm hoping EFX is going to be involved with the Comic Con thing. And of course, EFX is definitely involved with the Motoring Festival. And you, myself, and of course, Mrs. Zulu are going to be in action that weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a brilliant jam-packed weekend, as it is here today. And so far, the two racing categories have put on a good show. The Thunderbikes, the Bridgestone Thunderbikes was epic. And this ZX10 Cup race is just boiling up now. It's starting to get heated up now. But the top three riders just pulling away from Teddy Brook and Sanjeev Singh there. So it looks like they're going to be in a massive battle there for fourth place. But if anything happens, and we've seen it so far today, anything can happen with those top three, you've got to be in it to win it. And Teddy Brook and Sanjeev Singh, they'll just know. They've got experienced heads. They'll just sit there and see the top three, know they don't have the same kind of pace, but they'll just be waiting there to pounce. It's all about the two men up front, Sven Gruner and Graham from Bedard. It has been about them for the last couple of seasons. They really have gone at it hammer and tong. And Graham from Bedard, with that number one plate, also has done plenty of laps around the old Kyalami, getting to grips now with the new shape Kyalami. Still a lot of old aspects about it still. So Graham from Bedard, last time at the end of last year, didn't put on a good show here at Kyalami, and he knows that. So he wants redemption. He wants to come out and prove that he can retain that number one plate.
Yeah, changing it up ever so slightly. You can see the last lap of 53 dead coming there from Graham van Bedard. Has he gone quicker? Yes, he has. 52.9. So he's slowly but surely opening up a small margin. It's only half a second. Half a second in ZX10 R Masters Cup racing is a big gap to make up. And you can see just how hard it is when Jaco Koos is losing that kind of ground to the man just ahead of him there. Of course, Peter de Vos. Keep an eye on Michael Smith. He's on his own. But just behind them, you've got Jonty Collard, Apana Ganapathi, and Wayne Spicer. Wayne Spicer going back-to-back with races there. So he's got a little bit of extra time in the saddle. There we go, the man I'm just speaking about. Spicer in the middle of that shot right now. Fighting with Collard, fighting with Apana Ganapathi. And just behind them, it's Gareth Besaidnote. Now, Besaidnote, I was expecting bigger things from him. Yeah. He really battles here at Kyalami. I think it's just a mindset thing for him. You know, he realizes... And please understand when I say he realizes that he's at a big track. A big track like Kyalami is a massive mind game that you've got to get around. Yeah, and I think once he gets around that, he can run. And we know at all the other circuits that we race at with ZX10, he runs in that front six-pack easily. Yeah. So it's just a case of getting to grips with the fact that he's at Kyalami, and that's exactly what he's starting to do now as he moves up on Spicer through Clubhouse. Yeah,
he started last season off so well, and then, as you know, you have one or two crashes during the season, just knocks that confidence a bit. So I think he just needs to get one or two good results under the bag, and then we'll see the Gareth Besaidnote that we know that can run at the front of the field. He's got ahead of Wayne Spicer now, so he's closing down on a Panaganapathi there. Great to see the returning Rob Craig, former top national superbike racer, all the way from Cape Town. Great to have him here. He's running in 13th place there, just ahead of brother Greg Besaidnote. Their brother to Gareth Besaidnote. Stewie Russell rider up there, Jacques Ackerman, another rider all the way from Cape Town. So we've got a lot of guys from all over the country. As Sven Gruner now, we've seen him do this so many times. He just waits, checks out the pace, sees where From Bedard is strong, and then he pounces, and now he's going to try and put the hammer down and just extend that lead. We know that Sven Gruner likes to be out front. He likes to lead races, and he especially likes to pull away and win comfortably.
Yeah, a Seller-type ride coming here, I expect. From Clint Sellers, the same kind of thing you'd expect there. Side by side from Sanjeev Singh and Teddy Brook as they come through across the line. Watch out for those two riders just in the background there. That's for 5th and 6th place. And Teddy's on the inside of Sanjeev. They've changed up about 3 or 4 times. Brook Refrigeration there, just squeezing through. The Silver Surfer, you'd see that only if it rains. He pulls out that magnificent rain suit of his, Alpine Stars one, I think it is, and it's just all silver, very Silver Surfer-esque. And you can see he's fighting hard there, and it's great to see. As I said, Sanjeev Singh, I always take my hat off to him because it's kind of where I would love to be in terms of my riding skill. And I love the fact that when you mentioned it a bit earlier, we can talk about the number 1 plate. No, you can talk about the number 1 plate being heavy. I've had a couple of number 1 plates, but it's definitely not in motorcycle racing.
And just out front, Sven Gunnar has certainly pulled the plug now. 52.4, the fastest lap of the race. In third place, Peter de Vos, he was the second fastest man on track. 52.9 and Jaco Koos. So those two now starting to put some pressure on Graham van der Merwe. So van der Merwe is going to have to watch out here, because while he's trying to attack Sven Gunnar at the front, he's going to have to very soon defend Peter de Vos and Jaco Koos behind him. And that is always an uncomfortable position to be in, because every time you come across the line, you think you're chasing down on the leader, and your pit board is telling you that the guys from behind are closing that gap. So van der Merwe got a very experienced head on his shoulders. He's won this championship twice in the last 4 years, but he wants to retain that title. And like I said, I don't think in ZX10 Cup Masters history anyone other than Stewie McLeod maybe has gone back-to-back titles. So that number 1 plate really is heavy. Doing a good job at holding down Sven Gunnar for now. But Sven Gunnar really does set his bike up for those last 4 or 5 laps, where he puts his head down, he's able to put in consistent fast laps and really charge down. And now coming across the line, there'll be 4 laps left. So this is where van der Merwe has really got to hold now Sven Gunnar and keep him intact.
Just remember that we do have different classes involved inside this battle for the front. The top 2 in Class B, number 3, third place at this stage, Peter de Vos running top end of Class C, and 4th place, Jaco Koos, is actually the leader of Class A. So you've got age categories in here as opposed to speed categories involved with ZX10. And here comes 2 of the slightly more elderly statesmen, one of them being Teddy Brook. He's now sitting 2nd place in Class C, and of course Sanjeev is battling for 3rd place in Class B, even though he's fighting with the Class C competitor, and he's actually through. Nice move there from Sanjeev. Came straight back at Teddy Brook as he tried the inside line. And as they come out of Yuxke and out of Crowthorne, you can see a change up there. Speaking of change up, look at Van der Merwe's body language. He now realizes he's losing time and he's running out of laps to get to the front end. So he's now applying the pressure.
Here he comes.
And back markers could come into play here.
Van der Merwe on the inside, classic Kyalami move. He lined it up from Sunset, got in there a little bit late, leg was off the pegs, really trying hard, but just lined it up, railed it around the outside and just stuck it on the inside there of Sven Gunnar going into Clubhouse. They are coming through the back markers now, around the outside there, coming through the S's. Back marker stays out of it, so good riding there. Van der Merwe gets a little bit close there, but looks like he's pulled a slight gap there. Sven Gunnar still trying to fight back, and Peter de Vos now right in the mix. Here comes Sven Gunnar at the top of the hill. That is a brave move. He came from a long way back, runs a little bit wide, and Van der Merwe squares it up and back over. These guys realize there's still 4 laps left, and this is what van der Merwe's doing. He's interrupting Sven Gunnar's race. He's disrupting the leader, and that's exactly what he needed to do.
Not allowing him to get away. Exactly 100%. That. And going very Russell Wood-esque at the top of the hill there.
Oh.
That's kind of the move he pulled on a couple of occasions at the top of that hill. There's Gunnar straight back. Oh, Van der Merwe to sit up. Van der Merwe sits up coming out of Crocodiles, and that's given Peter de Vos a sniff. He might have a go here. Peter de Vos going to try something as they come through Cheetah, heading towards Ingwe now. Let's see if there's going to be any change up. I was picking up on that back market. It was actually Musapelo Siate they went through on. So he just stayed out of the way. He did exactly what he needed to do.
Brilliant riding.
They caught him, unfortunately, in a very difficult position to try and make an overtaking maneuver, but all 5 riders have got through on him. So super riding there from the back marker, and excellent effort there from Musapelo Siate.
You can see now at the front, the 2 riders are disrupting themselves down into the 154 lap times. That's allowed Peter de Vos to close down, and Jaco Koos just a little bit. But Sven Gunnar just showing to Graham van der Merwe, whatever you can do, I can do better. Look at Sanjeev Singh. Since he's got ahead of Teddy Brook, and Michael Smith is also not too far behind Teddy Brook, but the fastest man on track at the moment, I would say, is Sanjeev Singh, because he's seriously closing down now that he's got that clean air. Van der Merwe still doing a brilliant job. He's going to climb into the slipstream here. Here we go. On the inside, coming into Sunset. Will he do it on the brakes? Oh, he's going to be brave to do it there on Sven Gunnar, because Sven Gunnar is one of the latest of the last breakers in the Red Squares ZX10 Masters Cup. So has he got through? Yeah, Graham van der Merwe back in front, and that's exactly what he needs to do. Not rest and settle for 2nd place. He's got to just try and lead as many laps as possible and disrupt Sven Gunnar's rhythm.
I just want to see these guys possibly sit last Sunday and watch some MotoGP racing. This is
exactly what's going on.
What was happening at the front end of MotoGP, and now we're in ZX10Rs as they head to the top of the hill again. Sanjeev going to try and make his way to the front end and get onto the back end there of Jaco Koos and of course Peter de Vos. He's now left Teddy Brook behind, and he was 100% right, Rob, fastest man on that last lap. So certainly in with a shot of catching Jaco and spoiling his day. Jaco Koos, as we mentioned earlier on, sitting in 4th place, but he leads Class A. So you've got 2 Class B competitors at the front end. You've got a Class C competitor in third place right now, coming up on another back marker there.
That's the Vos.
And coming up on Hannes de Vos.
Hannes de Vos.
Hannes de Vos. Oh, didn't realize there was a quicker bike coming through there. And that's one through. Can he get two? Yeah, there we go. And Peter should be able to get in.
His brother's now being held
goes flying up the inside and gets through as well. So no issues other than the fact that Hannes had to sit up himself.
Sven Gruner has a big look behind him. He just wanted to see if the back marker did maybe get in the way of Van Breda. It did halt him a little bit. Van Breda losing just a little bit of time now on Sven Gruner. As we come across the line, there'll be 2 laps remaining. So Sven Gruner, this is when he's put the hammer down now, starting to extend that lead. So it's all up to Van Breda and Peter de Vos now. Can they close down on Sven Gruner? Remember, lost that number 1 plate last year to Graham Van Breda. And he's come back stronger than ever and looking really racy is Sven Gruner. Van Breda doing a good job though. I think from qualifying, they've done a good job at setting that bike up, giving Graham a package. And like you said, his riding style just looks a lot more aggressive than we've seen Graham Van Breda in a long time.
Yeah, and he also look at the way he's gone into the season, concentrating on ZX10s.
Yeah.
He stepped out of the South African team for the international at Passion for Speed Festival. Yep. He's literally dedicated all the training and everything that he needs to, putting into practice what he needs to do here to ensure that he can retain that number 1 place. It's not an easy thing to do in any form of sport that you get involved in. Having your championship and having it on your back for the next season makes it a very difficult little task to handle. But he seems to be doing it admirably as they head back into the S's for the second last time. Now, he's got to try and find a little bit more of a gap to close that down. It's not quite where he needs to be. He's got great corner speed on the ZX10, that is for sure. Whatever Les has done to that bike, it's certainly working a lot better, because him now running in the 53s consistently is nowhere near what he was doing in qualifying. Qualifying, he was running in 54, so he was almost a second slower in qualifying than his race pace that he's found right now, which means that he's got what it takes. And I think he's going to just wait. He's going to bide his time now so that Sven Gruner cannot find another way back.
Well, cast your mind back to the last race here at Kyalami last year. Graham Van Breda was nowhere near the tailpipe of Sven Gruner.
Not a chance.
So he really has stepped it up. Leg out once again coming into Crocker. That's the perfect line though he's taken. Just slightly wider. He's able to square it up, and he's trying to try and put a move maybe on the inside. That's very brave. That is going to be so brave. I think it's Wayne Spicer maybe with a problem.
Yeah.
Or Van Breda, I didn't think he would be able to make it there. Sven Gruner going very defensive into the final turn here. So now we're going to come. There's going to be 1 lap remaining. Now watch Sven Gruner make that bike number 66 as wide as possible on this final lap.
Yeah, it's going to be a ZX14 he's on right now. Even keep it as wide as he can. Maybe put Greg on the back and he won't be able to find a way.
Look how they've pulled away from Peter de Vos. That's the kind of pace that he's got. Van Breda, the fastest lap of the race, 52.1. That's incredible out of the Bridgestone tires and these Red Square ZX10 Cup bikes. Remember, these bikes aren't highly modified like Bridgestone Thunder bikes. There are restrictions here. So to pull those kind of lap times with 2 laps, on the final lap of the race, this is a new Graham Van Breda that we're watching.
And also, it shows you just how good those tires are, and where they come into their own. You know, after a couple of laps, you will find that we saw it there with Ferdinand Frederick having some cold tire issues. Oh, what a move from Van Breda. Let's go back to this one, though. Don't worry about what Ferdinand Frederick did. Van Breda is now on fire. He is not going to let Sven Gruner take this one. He holds onto that line. Watch him go defensive coming into clubhouse now. Not going to allow any doors to be opened up. And looks like Sven Gruner's got a slight issue there as he came out. He didn't have quite the drive that we saw the last couple of laps, and that might be enough for Van Breda to hang on. Let's see what happens as they go through the S's. Watch him as he tips it over onto the right-hand side.
Sven Gruner's out of this. Sven Gruner's out of Graham Van Breda has pulled the pin, and this is the most frustrating thing for a rider leading. Van Breda will not know that he's got almost a second now on Sven Gruner, so he's still going defensive. Here comes Sven Gruner at the top of the hill, very late on the brakes. He runs a little bit wide, so Sven Gruner now maybe overriding, but he's certainly got some kind of issue. It started from clubhouse.
Yeah, left-handers he's battling with. Let's watch him as he comes through the sweep now. You'll see through crocodiles, he'll probably be able to close the gap slightly, but through the sweep, look how he's running wide there.
Yeah.
He's running a lot wider than what he was. He wasn't able to hold the line through there at all. And now into crocodile, you can see just battling a little bit as they come through there. Well, Van Breda,
he's got this.
He's running wide. There's an issue there on Gruner's bike here on this last lap. Can you believe that? And Graham Van Breda is going to hang on. There you can see Spicer pulling into the pit lane. I wonder if he maybe possibly ran out of fuel there.
Maybe he's tired.
He could be a bit buggered too, yeah, 100%. Right, into the final turn. Ingwe corner. Square it off for the line.
Look at him getting
and
it
Graham
sideways.
Van Breda, GBBD and the Ivad team are going to take this first victory for ZX10 Arm Masters Cup here today at the Kyalami Motorsport Festival, but very close across the line. 7/10 of a second there for second place between Gruner. Jaco Goos is eventually going to come through to beat out where?
Peter de Vos
dropping down to fifth place. Sanjeev Singh got through onto de Vos on the last lap.
That's a brilliant ride there from Sanjeev Singh. Up next should be Michael Schmidt. He had a very lonely ride, but check out this battle now. There's Michael Schmidt and Jonty Collard has closed right on. So a couple of problems late on for some of the riders here. Jonty Collard right there on Michael Schmidt, who looks like he's also got some kind of issue there, but it looks like he might just hold on for that 7th place.
And he does.
Yeah, he does. He comes across the line there in 7th place, just ahead of Jonty Collard, Apana Ganapathy and Gareth Poseidon as close as that across the line. That's exactly exactly what we expect from Kawasaki Red Square Masters Cup. Just all those little battles going on all the way down the field as we look here now. Still on the final lap of some of the riders. That's a little bit further down. Guy Didcot making his debut here in the Red Square ZX10 Masters Cup. A brilliant ride there, dicing with Jacques Ackermann. Andre van Wallenstein comes across the line. Stewie Russell right there as well. And of course Ian Harwood, the Bridgestone man, just a little bit further down there as well.
Good to see Rob Craig up in just outside the top 10 for his first outing at Kyalami in a long time for him. And his teammate Jacques Ackermann down in 16th place, still fighting for an opportunity here to be on the top 16. Let's see if we can keep it all together, because that's where they score points to, of course. So coming down onto the braking mark.
Oh, that's Safisa Temba.
Safisa Temba also in there too. Great to have him riding flat out.
And that's transport.co.za, man, isn't it?
23 is going to be JB Skuman.
JB Skuman.
Similar bike, similar bike to what Jason Joshua would have been riding. But it's JB Skuman out there at this stage, fighting there with Temba as they come to the line. 34 just ahead of them there, of course, Ruan Oberholzer, another new man to ZX10 Masters Cup. So we've got a couple of new riders that have got to grips with Kyalami pretty rapidly, and we've got a couple of riders at the front end that are showing us exactly what these bikes can do around this track. So ZX10 Masters Cup Race 1 in the bag now, everybody across the line, and some fantastic two-wheeled action to kick off the day's racing here at the Kyalami Motorsport Festival.
Well, there's 70